together as a family and also making sure each person gets some one-on-one time. They've always made it a point to include me in these plans, which honestly has been pretty awesome. So there I was, spending the day with my mother-in-law, and it just hit me how lucky I am to have them in my life now, considering everything. Back when Derek and I first bumped into each other, I wasn't exactly the most open book. We both kinda agreed that jumping straight into dating wasn't the move. Starting as friends seemed like the safer bet, especially since I wasn't all that keen on the whole let's get super close vibe just yet. His parents were nothing but sweet to me from the start, but me being me, I had a bit of a wall up. I guess I was just used to being on my own. But then, this one night after we all had dinner, my father-in-law pulls me aside for a chat. He lays it out plain and simple. His son is head over heels for me, and they can all see what he sees in me. He told me it was time I started loving myself a bit more, and letting that love in from others too. I'd been watching the family dynamics for a few months by then, seeing how Derek, his brothers, and his parents all got along so well. It was like peeking into a whole different world where families actually support and get each other. I totally lost it and started crying, all the while freaking out about my makeup running. Yeah, I was in that phase where looking good was more of a priority than dealing with my own baggage. My father-in-law, bless him, just hugged me and told me I was being too hard on myself, that ignoring my feelings wasn't going to do me any favors in the long run. Honestly, I adore him for that moment. It's one of those memories that just sticks with you, you know? Anyway, fast forward to the day at the cafe with my mother-in-law. I was totally thrown off because I didn't even recognize my own mom until she spoke up. Her voice was the same as ever, sharp and kinda cutting, just like back in the day when she wasn't exactly the most supportive. She looked different, sure, having put on some weight and all, but she still had that look about her. It just didn't click for me that it was her until she said my name. My first instinct? Bolt. I just turned on my heel and left. It wasn't until I was practically sitting in my car ready to take off that it dawned on me my mother-in-law hadn't come with me, so I had to go back in there and fetch her. So there I was, feeling super guilty for accidentally leaving my mother-in-law behind in that cafe. When I hustled back to get her, the scene was pretty intense. My mother-in-law was all chill, but my mom, Emma, was totally losing it. She was throwing around some pretty harsh words, basically calling out, "Who do you think you are?" to my mother-in-law, and without missing a beat, my mother-in-law clapped back with, "I'm the one who loves her like a real mom should." Things got really heated when Emma dropped the real mother line. That was like the last straw for my mother-in-law, and she didn't hold back. She actually started throwing punches at Emma, which was wild. I managed to pull her away, but by that time someone had already called the cops because of the commotion. Pretty soon the police showed up, and I guess it was the cafe staff or maybe some customers who dialed them. My mother-in-law ended up getting arrested, but we got her out on bail as fast as we could. In the car, she told me she felt it was totally worth it, and that just made me start laughing and crying all at once. She was so fired up, saying how mad she was that Emma thought she could say all those mean things about me and get away with it. My mother-in-law kept saying how glad she was that I found them and left my old life behind, especially since she couldn't stand anyone talking down to me like that. She knew the real me, the person I was always meant to be, but never got the chance to show because of how I was treated at home. She even said she wished she had hit Emma harder. And you know what? It felt strangely good to hear her say that. It was like all those wishes I had as a kid for someone to stand up for me were finally coming true, even if it took a while. For the first time, I felt like someone actually loved me enough to get really mad on my behalf. Growing up, my own parents would never have defended me like that. In fact, most of the time, they'd just agree with anyone who insulted me right in front of my face. Oh, and about my sister Emily? Some people were asking for an update on her. Well, she ended up deleting her post not long after I deleted my comment. A few people reached out saying they were planning to do a wellness check on her and warned me that if anything happened, it'd be on me. All right, let's dive a little deeper into this whole saga, which honestly feels like something straight out of a drama series, but it's my life, so here we go. So, I was totally clueless initially that Cam, who's my bro, and Derek, my other half, were getting bombarded with messages because of all the mess that was going down. Now Derek, being the absolute legend he is, decided to take matters into his own hands in a pretty epic way. He put together this massive list of all the things I've ever vented to him about, covering not just the stuff I spilled in my previous rant, but also other things I've shared with him over time. And then, like the mic drop moment at the end of each point, he'd ask this killer question: why in the world should his wife, aka me, feel any shame for clapping back at someone who's made her life miserable? And guess what? Crickets. No one had the guts to respond to him. And unlike me, who hit the block button faster than you can say drama, Derek left the lines of communication open. Then there's Cam, my brother, who decided to go in a different direction with his response. He basically called out the nonsense, highlighting how Christy, that's my sister, and her mom, have this long history of twisting situations to their advantage, playing the victim to manipulate others, just like they tried with me. Cam even whipped out old text messages as evidence, showing off these conversations he had with them that proved their manipulative antics. I had no clue Cam and Derek were pulling these moves until everything had already gone down. And surprise, surprise, nobody dared to step up and answer Cam either. About that wellness check on Christy everyone was talking about, I'm still not sure if that actually happened. After stirring the pot, Cam went full fortress mode and blocked pretty much our entire family tree, including our grandparents. So yeah, he's officially joined me in the no contact club. Cam was feeling pretty guilty, especially about my mother-in-law's run-in with the law, and he even offered to foot the bill for her bail. Derek, being the absolute rock star he is, said no to the offer, but came up with this sweet idea to throw a little celebration in honor of my mother-in-law's bold move. Seriously, how can you not love this guy? I made it crystal clear to Cam that I wasn't holding a grudge against him. Sure, the whole ordeal with my mother-in-law getting arrested hit me hard, and I felt awful for not being right there to back her up. But blaming Cam? That never crossed my mind. Knowing that he was so fired up on my behalf and went all out to defend me just made me feel incredibly supported. The fact that Derek, Cam, and my mother-in-law were all willing to stand up for me in their own ways, it's been a strange kind of amazing in the midst of all the madness. So yeah, while the whole situation might not be your typical happy ending story with all its twists and turns, just having these rock-solid people standing with me through thick and thin, it's given me a whole new level of happiness I didn't know was possible, despite the chaos. Story 3. Boss from hell gets what she deserves. I'm a 30-year-old woman who's been trying way too hard to make everyone happy my whole life. I've been working in the marketing world for over 10 years, and during that time I've had all sorts of bosses. Some were great, some were just okay, and then there were a few who were just the worst. But there's this one boss, let's call her Alexis, that's not her real name, by the way, who was on a whole